Welcome, my dear students. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, my dear students. Today we'll talk about the definition of culture. What is the meaning of culture? And what are the components of culture and the elements of culture and the relationship between culture and between other sciences? All this today we will get to know just a little bit something about it. So culture, let's go to the first. What's culture? What the meaning of culture? Culture is values, beliefs, behavior, and material objects that together form people's way of life. So this is the meaning of the word culture. It forms the people's way of life. Like you see here, it forms the people way of life. So culture is values, beliefs, behavior, and material objectives that form the people's way of life. Culture terms, we usually, when we study the culture, we study some terms for the culture. So some of them like this one, non-metrical culture, the non-metrical culture, the intangible world of ideas created by members of a society. The material culture, the tangible things created by members of society. Culture shock. This happens when someone moves from a country to another country or from a community to another community, and you find there are differences between the community, the culture of the community, of his background and the new culture. So personality disorientation when experiencing an unfamiliar way of life. So yeah, but usually they use the word culture shock when I move from one culture to another culture. We're still working on the culture terms. Culture is very recent. Homo sapiens 40,000 years ago. Civilization is 12,000 years ago in Middle East. Industrial ways of life 300 years ago. So it shows us how the culture moved and took an action from a generation to another generation or across the years. The nation is a political entity and people. Nation is a place of the land where are people living in a particular area. This is the political entity. State, political entity in a territory with borders. Society, people who interact in a defined territory and share cultures. So we have the nation, we have the state. The state is a political entity in a territory with borders, like as example, each state in the United States or, okay. Society is a people who interact in a defined territory and share culture. So this is about the differences. So when we say what is the difference between nation, state, and the society? The difference between nation is a political entity and people. State has borders, and the society is where people interact together in a territory or a place and share culture together. Here is the society. So one of the aspects of the society that the people share the cultures in the society. What about the symbols? What do we mean by the word symbols? Symbols, anything that carries a particular meaning, recognized by people who share a culture. Again, I will say symbol, anything that carries a particular meaning, recognized by people who share culture. Language is a system of symbols that allow people to communicate with one another. Other species may have culture as well, but not language skills. But language skills are very limited for other creatures. But for the people, they use the languages. Cultural transmission, a process of passing on the culture to the next generation. So when we pass our culture to the next generation, that means that we call it cultural transmission. It's exactly like when you, let's say also like the daughter or the mom teach her daughter what are the principles, what are the values, how to keep on respect, and this, and so this all is a cultural transmission. We'll come now to the hypothesis. What are the hypotheses? Hypothesis means that I'm suggesting that there is a reason for something to happen. When I say, as example, in the morning you are trying to run your car and to put your car on, and it's not working. So you start to put hypotheses. It's like guess or like assumptions, or like you try to make a link between the causal effect. As example, you will say, because I didn't put water in the car, or because of the sparks, because there is no oil in the car, because there is no gas in the car. Those are all, these we call them hypotheses. So the hypotheses are reason why for the event to happen, for the action to happen, or for the activity to happen. People perceive the world through the cultural lens of language. Values, culturally, define the standards by which people assess desirability, goodness, and beauty, and that serve as broad guidelines for social living. So this is the values. What about the beliefs? Statement that people hold to be true. So we have here values and beliefs and the hypothesis. Or we're still on the components of the culture, and this question is about the components of the culture. So norms, rules, and expectation by wise society guides the behavior of its members. So the norms, how this is norms in the society, means how the society work regarding this point. Rules and expectations. So rules, and I'm expecting in that in acting like this, that I will find this kind of behavior. So these are the rules and expectation by which society guides the behavior of its members. Mores, norms that are widely observed and have great moral significance. As example, no sexual relation with children. So this is mores or morals. We can say here, we said the word more, and we said the word moral. So these are beliefs and rules that it must be done. And has very important significance, like no sexual relation with children. No sexual relation with children. Folkways, norms with routine or casual interaction. Norms with written or casual interaction. This is the folkway. As example, proper dress. These we call folkways. Norms for routine or casual interaction. As example, the proper dress. Social control, means by which members of a society encourage conformity to norms. So they adherent to the norms of the society or no? Are they adherent to the rules of the society or no? We have also two cultures, two meaning of culture. The ideal culture, or what's supposed to be, what things should be, and we have the real culture, the way things actually are. As example, the ideal culture is not to discriminate, but the real culture, there are some people who discriminate. Material culture and technology. Technology, knowledge that a society applies to the task of living in a physical environment. And the technology is moving forward now. Humans in original state had little more than simple tools. In Canada, some groups reject modern technology. Yes, some people don't like the modern technology. Some people don't like the high building. Some people don't like, and they want everything to be like nature. New information technology, the application of ideas and information using computers and other electronic devices began 50 years ago. It can generate culture on a grand scale. It can generate a culture on a grand scale. Perfect. Cultural diversity. So we have multicultural and we have high culture and we have popular culture. Multicultural census had more than 200 responses to question of the ethnic identity in Canada. High culture, cultural patterns that distinguish a society's elites, the people, the good people of the society, which is called high culture. Popular culture, cultural patterns widespread among a society's population. So we have multicultural, we have high culture, we have popular culture. Like we studied also, we have before subcultures. The sub means a division or a part of. A cultural patterns that set apart some segments of the society. As example, people of the North and people of the South, people of the East and people of the West, the rural areas and the urban areas. Multicultural system or multiculturalism, social policy designed to encourage ethnic or cultural heterogeneity, Eurocentrism, dominance of European cultural patterns. So Eurocentrism, that means but the culture of the Europe is dominant, is the one who's prevailing and controlling the situation in some place. Eurocentrism means that the European culture, like you see here, European culture, dominate means like over control or control over. Counterculture. Counter means against. Cultural patterns that strongly oppose those widely accepted. So counterculture is that kind of culture which oppose with each other. Parts of the culture that oppose with each other. We're still talking about the culture and the cultural definitions. We have culture change occurs by invention, discovery, and diffusion. And we talk about this now. Technology. Did technology mean some cultural change? Yes. Yes. The way of ordering the foods, like now using the software and apps to order your lunch and your dinner. It affects about the style of the people to eat at home or eat delivery foods. That the habits, the buying habits is now, marketing is no more like before, just to go to the malls and buy. You will buy all what you need from Amazon. So this change in the behavior and change in the culture of yours, which consists of some habits, and those habits are changed now. So cultural change due to technology, yes. Cultural lag. Some elements change more quickly than others. So if things in the culture change more than the others, we call it cultural lag. Ethnocentrism. Ethno from ethnic. Practice of judging another culture by the standards of one's own culture. So ethnocentrism, when I measure the other cultures based on what I have from my own back home culture. In that case, we call it ethnocentrism. This cultural relativism, from relative practices of evaluating a culture by its own standards. Practice of evaluating a culture by its own standards. We call this culture relativism. Now I just want to ask you, Are we towards a global culture? Are we towards a global culture? Societies have more contact by the flow of the goods, the information, the people, and the level of technology as well. So the societies are contacting more now due to the rapid change in technology. The goods, the information, the people all became countries, and the global means, the globe means, or globalization means that the world became like a small village, that the whole world became like a small village. So here, that means more interact between the people, less stuck to the borderlines, less, or there are ways or endeavors to release all the difficulties and hesitate the flow of goods and services from one country to another. This goes also in the global definition, and globalization also will lead to a global culture. Do you think one day that all the people will eat only from the fast foods restaurants? Do you think that all the people one day will wear only jeans because the jeans is a common or a global all over the world, and they will not use their own custom uniforms or their folklore clothes or whatever? Do you think that the whole people will hear one music? Do you think that the whole people or will listen to one music? Do you think that the whole people will have only one religion? So all this is a 100% global culture, but there are some things like all the people now are just common in and became globally and widely accepted. But these flows are uneven. The goods and services are expensive and different meaning are attached to them. Yes, in some places, let's say the name of a product in some places might be in another countries of a shame meaning of, or something that ladies cannot even articulate it or say it. Or it has a kind of pessimistic feeling or reaction or impression. So here, once we want to go globally and to know the culture of the others, we have to know very well, not about our own cultures only, but we have to know also about the cultures of the other or the guest country, not only the home country culture, but also the guest country culture. Culture is a complex strategy for meeting human needs. What about the cultural universals? Traits that are part of every known culture and includes family, funeral rites, and jokes. So these are cultural universal. Things are very common for everyone in the world. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows very well what is the meaning of the family, what the meaning of the funeral, and what's done in the funeral, and what the meaning of the word joke. And it's grabbing fun and laughing and so on. Critical evaluation downplay importance of changes and overlooks range of diversity. We'll go now to another address or title that's called social conflict analysis. Just want to say that cultural is a dynamic arena of conflict. So like we said before, the counter culture, where two cultural aspects contradict or oppose to each other. Cultural traits benefits some members at the expense of the others. Approach rooted by Karl Marx and materialism, society's system of material production, has a powerful effect on the rest of the culture. The critical evaluation understates the ways cultural patterns integrate members into society. Still in the cultural materialism, we'll say that a paradigm that explores the relationship of human cultures to the physical environment. Why do Hindus not eat cows? Cows cost little to raise and produce oxen and manure, the latter providing building materials and a source of heat. Critical evaluation. Not easy to draw connection, and modern society can manipulate the natural world. Sociobiology. What do we mean by the sociobiology? A theoretical paradigm that explores ways in which human biology affect how we create culture. Approach rooted in Charles Darwin's concept of natural selection, living organisms change over long periods of time. A critical evaluation may be used to support racism or sexism, and little evidences to support theory. People learn behavior within a cultural system. What about the culture and the freedom? Culture as constraint. We only know our world in the terms of our own culture. Yeah, we know what we ought to do and what we ought not to do based on our culture. Culture as freedom. Culture is changing and offers a variety of opportunities. That is as freedom. So today, let me say again quickly, we talk about the meaning of the word culture. We talk about the non-metrical and metrical cultures. We talk about the components of the cultures and the differences between the word nation, the word state, the word society, and at the last one, the society is a group of people which are sharing a common culture. We talk about what the meaning of symbols in any culture and the language. And we said that the humans are having language skills. Humans have language skills. We talk about the culture transmission, which goes from one generation to the other generation. We talk about the hypothesis, and the word hypothesis means reason or reasoning, cause and effect. We talk about the meaning of the values, and we talk about the beliefs and the difference between the values and beliefs. We talk about the norms, the mores or the morals, the folkways, and social control. What is the difference between the ideal culture and the real culture? We talk about the technology, and we asked one question: does technology affect the level of culture? Or does make it change culture change? What is the relationship between the technology and the culture change? We talk about the multiculturals. We talk about the high culture, which is for the people, the society's elites. We talk about the popular culture, which is very famous among the people of any society. We talk about subcultures that is divided from the main culture of a society, a segment of the society with subcultures. We talk about multiculturalism, where there is more than one culture in one place. We talk about Eurocentrism, where, or the place or the community where the European culture prevail or dominate the European culture. We talk also about the counterculture, and we said those sometimes they oppose parts or patterns of the culture, they oppose with each other. We talk about the culture change, and we said it happen, and it happens always with the invention, discovery, and diffusion. We talk about the cultural legs, which means some of the elements of the culture might change, while some other parts will keep the way they are without changing. We talk about the ethnocentrism, from ethnic or background means the way I think with my culture. I just see the other cultures with the eyes of my own culture. So like the practice of judging another culture by the standards of one's own culture. It's judging. So you try to compare always and judge based on what you know in your back home or your back culture. You judge the situations which you see based on what you previously have in your own previous culture. We talk also about the cultural relativism, which is evaluating culture by its own standards. We talk about the global culture. We talk about it's easy now for the transformation of goods and information and people, and that the world now is moving towards the globalization of the world as a small village. The world as a small village. We just like trying to hesitate the flow of goods and services from one country to another, hesitate or remove any kind of complications in the export and import procedures, open the way wide for the migration of people from one part to another part in a society and so on. We talk also about the cultural universal, which is like the family. Just when you talk about the culture universal, remember the family, remember the jokes. It's for all the people in all over the world. It's the same. Like critical evaluation. We talk about the critical evaluation. Understand the way cultural patterns integrate members into the society. That's actually what we talk today about the culture. And till I see you back, all the best of wishes and stay blessed and stay safe. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, my dears. Thank you, my dear students. Bye-bye.